superstar.
Where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me, and I'm proudly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Our founding fathers here in this country brought about the only true revolution that has ever taken place in man's history. Every other revolution simply exchanged one set of rulers for another set of rulers. But only here did that little band of men, so advanced beyond their time that the world has never seen their like since, evolve the idea that you and I have within ourselves the God-given right and the ability to determine our own destiny. But freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Look, Barron's right behind him.
Yeah, Barron's a superstar.
Where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me, and I'm proudly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Barron is so tall. So legit.
Here we go. I want him to say Kamala conceited.
Look, here's the Daily Wire crew behind him.
Look, Barron's right behind him.
Welcome back to the Joe Mobley Show. I am Joe Mobley, your host and the original uncloseted conservative. I almost said uncloseted conservative. Good gracious. Uncloseted conservative. I've heard it both ways. Name that show. I've heard it both ways. Anyway, guys, welcome. Woo! We're still celebrating. We are still just on cloud nine. We're not going to get hauled off in handcuffs just yet. We are still celebrating a historic win. And honestly, people were saying it was a landslide. I was like, yeah, it's not quite a landslide yet, but 312 electoral votes. Yeah, that's a landslide. Was it 312 to like 216 or some trash? That's a landslide. I don't know if you've heard, but yeah, is what it is. All right, let's see who we have in the building. First and foremost, over on Rumble, we got Reality Pocket. And let's see, 6, 7 of your best friends. Thank you guys for being here on Rumble, where you don't have to meet monetization requirements, so you guys can do Rumble rants, whatever you want. But still don't have the ability just yet to do super chats on YouTube, but don't worry, guys. Who do we have in the house? Adam Ant, first in the building. Welcome in 15 minutes early. Yeah, come on, man, with that military time. Sirius Shelby, thank you. It's the day is drawing close. So do you ship out to boot before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving? We got 13 Buyakin. I never know how to say that. You got to spell that out phonetically. Sarah is in the house, the Raging Tomato. Welcome in. Believe in yourself. Greetings to all. Absolutely. Thank you guys for being here. Mike E. Ball, Grid 1. Grid. Grid, I might have to pull up that video of you hijacking that train that I found earlier today. Who else is in the building? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks for being here. The Panelverse presents. Always a pleasure. Show watch dial, please. I'm not sure what that is. Show watch dial, please. Is that this? Like the face of the watch? Or is there... does that mean something else? I don't know. Shane Nolan, welcome in. Glenn Lawrence, what is up, my man? My watch, I will show. Actually, I wonder if I have a picture. I could probably pull up a picture of this. Yeah. I am wearing my Father's Day blue face titanium. I'm wearing my Father's Day Eco Drive. Oh, that's pretty close, but that's not it. Yeah, I might just have to throw it up here on the camera. There's that light right behind it, so that might look like trash. Oh well, let's see what happens. This is my kids got me this Citizen Eco Drive. Yeah, that's really hard to focus in there. But yep, it's in my collection. I have 2 Citizen watches. This is one, and it's a lot of fun, and I don't have to charge it, and I don't have to spin it or rotate it or flip it around and reverse it or any of that such stuff. So my watch collection is very small. It's a humble 5 watch collection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 watch collection. So yep, but gets the job done. Always fun, guys. Let's jump into this monologue. I wanna ask you guys kind of what the deal is with like friends. Like, do you have friends? Do you have real friends, people you can count on? Are all of your friends technically like blood relatives, family, or married family? Or do you have that 3 a.m. phone rings, hey, we need to hide a body type, ride or die type friend? And the reason I asked is because a couple of reasons. Because I saw this clip, and it's been going around for a while. I've seen it before, and I saw it again, but this time it was set to Linkin Park music because the social media algorithms are really honing in on me. They know that I love Linkin Park, and so they're really getting me into their funnel here. Anyway, so I clipped this one out, and it got me thinking, because there are so many misconceptions about friendship. So one of them, I wrote it down here. There's the bastardization of this phrase, blood is thicker than water. And when you hear that, what does that mean to you? Hey, blood is thicker than water. So what? What naturally follows from that? And most people will say, well, that means that you have to go all out for those blood relatives. So, that the bonds of, the same blood runs in your veins. You guys are related. That's not actually where the phrase comes from. It was originally intended to mean that the bonds forged through shared suffering, through shared strife, shared experience. This is military combat. This is law enforcement, fighting to survive, patrolling the streets kind of thing. This is a group of friends, not relatives, but friends, struggling through different experiences, whether they be from poverty and drug-stricken and crime-stricken neighborhoods, or other types of bonds, sports bonds even though I talk about sports negatively a lot. Seriously, Shelby says, brotherhood of survival. The original meaning of the phrase blood is thicker than water is that the relationships and the bonds that are forged together through struggling, through strife, the people that you've bled with and sweat with and cried with and lost sleep with and shared in each other's anxieties and stresses and all of that stuff, that hard-won bond is thicker than the bond that comes through the waters of the womb, the waters of life. So those bonds, those relationships that you choose and you nourish and you cultivate and you protect and you nurture so that they flourish, those relationships, those hard-won relationships with people who you've bled with are stronger than the random cosmic lottery of who your families are. And yes, God does give each child to individual families, and each person is given to individual parents very intentionally. But when you're looking at your family, your aunts and your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, and this whole extended family thing, it's a lot less here on Earth. It's a lot less intentionally done. Those relationships are they're not cookie cutter, but they're kind of set in motion organically, and then they take on a little bit of an artificial flavoring. Just doesn't quite feel right, doesn't quite taste right. So don't dig into that. And before we get into, of course, I'm making the big push to get back into including the things that are supposed to be in the show. Before we get into that, let's check out this clip of our guy, Lex Friedman and Andrew Huberman.
Can you read the quote once more? Don't eat with people you wouldn't starve with. To me, loyalty is really big. Because then if you invest in certain people in your life and they stick by you.
Yeah, so that's the quote.
Can you read the quote once more? Don't eat with people you wouldn't starve with.
So on this Lex Friedman show, when he was interviewing his good friend Andrew Huberman, Dr. Huberman, they got onto the topic of friendships and relationships, and they said apparently Conor McGregor has this saying, and I think I've seen him saying it on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, where Conor McGregor very often says, "Don't eat with people you wouldn't starve with." So then they kind of unpack this here in this short clip.
Read the quote once more. Don't eat with people you wouldn't starve with. To me, loyalty is really big. Because then if you invest in certain people in your life and they stick by you and you stick by them, and what else is life about?
Yeah, well, hardship will show you who your real friends are. That's for sure. It's been a great ride, this podcast thing, and you're the reason I started the podcast. You inspired me to do it. You told me to do it. Did it. And you've also been an amazing friend. You showed up in some very challenging times, and you've shown up for me publicly. You've shown up for me in my home, in my life, and it's an honor to have you as a friend. Thank you.
I love you, brother.
Love you too.
Can you read the quote?
So be honest with yourself. Honest engine here. How many friends do you have like that? How many friends do you have that not they would show up, they have shown up. They were actually there. Not when your life was Instagram perfect, not when you were in everyone's good graces and your name carried a lot of clout and respect all throughout the town, and people perked up when you walked into the room. But when your name was trash, when you were trash, when you were anxious, when you were stressed, when you were afraid, when you had, in the South they said, you done did it, you done gone and did it. When you were the bad guy, who showed up? Is there anyone? Is there anyone who showed up for you when you were the bad guy in your life story, or when you were not taking care of business, or when you were not living up to your responsibilities, when you've not been a person of your word, or if you've done all those things, you were a person of your word, you were living up to your responsibilities, life just kicked you in the nuts. Who showed up then? And who was there to say, hey man, you know what? This really sucks. But I'm here. I got you whatever you need. And it was not convenient for them. And the sad reality is, and we say, you know, part of the mission of this show is to restore, rebuild, revive America's dying culture. We're not going to be able to get back the important pieces of culture until we restore the importance of relationships. And we put them back in their rightful place in society. We are not supposed to be islands unto ourselves. We were made for communion with God, but we were also made for community with each other. Now, for some of you, you're not married, you don't have kids. Like, I get it, you're in whatever stage of life, but that doesn't mean that you are not responsible for stewarding, for enriching, for propping up a proper community, which influences culture, which decides on, at a larger scale, what society is. It can't be, well, we're all doing our own things in our own little silos. We don't exist in silos. We don't exist in vacuums. We exist in a society together. So, roundabout way of saying, if you don't have this, if you don't have the person who maybe even on your do not disturb their calls, particularly not text, because, you know, your boys could text you whenever, but their phone calls come through. They pierce through a do not disturb. Right now, today, I have two of those individuals. One of them's real close, lives about 10 minutes from here. The other one lives just south of Baltimore. So, you know, he can get to me within 90 minutes from time of notice. But honestly, think about that. And also think about the fact that we're not supposed to live a life completely devoid of any type of struggle, any type of conflict. This is Romans, famous book, famous passage. This is one of Paul's books. Guys, all of Paul's books are famous, whatever. This is Romans chapter 5, verses 3 through 5. Not only that, but we rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance. And endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. I read the wrong translation. I was like, the word perseverance isn't in here. This is Romans 5, 3 through 5. Same verse, different translation. This is the one. And I even highlighted it red, but I'm an idiot. And also, I'm actually not reading because I'm black and I can't read and I don't know how to use the internet. Someone is speaking. I got an AirPod in, and someone is speaking this into my ear so I can say it for you all. So read the right one this time. Not only so, but we also glory in our suffering. Glory is a great word to etymologize and really get into what it means. Okay, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope. That's the whole kit and caboodle right there. That's not part of the Bible. That was just me. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured onto our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. But that's the whole game, guys. Suffering produces perseverance, character, hope. You want to be a person of character, you got to suffer. You got to persevere. You want to be a person who perseveres, you need to suffer. Otherwise, you have nothing to persevere. You want to be someone who has lasting hope, you've got to suffer. But I'm telling you guys right now, suffering is a lot easier when you got your battle boo. So apparently Lex Friedman and Andrew Huberman are battle boos. Adam Ant knows about that battle boo. I'm still good friends with my battle boo, Sergeant Soto. shout out to the Mexicans out there. Now, the funny thing is, Soto's actually Puerto Rican and his wife is Mexican, and I intentionally call them the reverse because they like it a lot. It's a lot of fun. All right. What do we have? Water of Life. Joe is the Moen Deep, long live the fighters. Mr. Boulay in the house. Okay. Casio A15 is your work watch. My work watch is my usual work watch is an Orient Bambino 1 or 2. I don't know, the one that has that little open face, open heart thing with a black leather strap. I have a brown leather one in my replacement strap in my drawer, but I've been wearing black more often than not these days. One more like that and we are 100%. I'm behind on the times. I don't know what that is referencing to. Welcome in Archangel over on Rumble. Oh, look at that. Rumble is crushing YouTube right now. So look at that. Well, wait a minute. Let's check the likes. Got to check the likes to see what's really going on. Yeah, Rumble's crushing YouTube on the views. I'd have to refresh on the likes to see what's what, and I don't want to do that right now because it makes things weird. But what you can do is make sure that you like the show. Speaking of liking the show, if you want to see the members only show immediately after this, then make sure you join up. thejoemobley.com/join, $5 a month. You get the mug, which is over my left shoulder, but you can't see because it's way back there. You get the member only mug. You get the shirt, which is, it's not a member only shirt. You can actually go onto the website and buy the shirt. But if you buy it, it costs $29. And if you join you pay the $5 to get into the membership, and then the shirt ships out to you. So yeah, honestly, a good deal. I hear my child. Here, let me pull this up over here. Boop. All right. And after you become a member, you can jump on over to thejoemobleyshow.com, check out the shop, and buy some snarky merch. I wear something from my own shop virtually every day. Yeah, every day. Look, I know a lot of you like the Trump line art shirt that has Strong and Courageous. I've gotten probably a dozen and a half emails and endless social media comments saying, hey, why don't you have a fight one? Which is actually kind of stupid because if you look right here, I do have a fight shirt. But people wanted this shirt with fight on it instead of Strong and Courageous because you guys are heathens and you don't like wearing your Bible references on your shirts. But anyway, look here, we got it. You got your fight Trump line art shirt. I don't know why everyone did the same image, and I'm like, are there not creatives out here? Like, look at this line art. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wow, that's better than all the ones I've seen on social media, and you would be right. I'm here. Let me shoot a new link. My link is apparently malfunctioning. Let me interview. Oh, okay. Here we go now. So sorry, I accidentally turned interview off because I was recording some videos that I didn't want interrupted. I was actually doing screen recordings, and it started when I was making that little video of Grid, which I'm gonna pull up now just because it's gonna be funny while Samantha's getting in here. Tonight is a video heavy show, by the way. Actually, I think I need to go to studio for this because it's a hidden video. Or unlisted, I guess is what it's called. Doesn't this look like Grid? I saw this. My 3-year-old. We watch train videos or fire trucks or like big construction vehicles at his nap time. And I just thought, well, I look up and I see this and I'm like, good grief, that looks like Grid. Oh, Outspoken Samantha. So sad. Look at that face. Oh, you got a little Christmas tree.
I knew.
Very nice. Yeah. How are you?
Well, I'm good now. I thought I was being like shunned or something. I didn't know what was going on with the show link.
Now, I'm glad my phone was in my pocket because otherwise, when I have it out on the stand, I just ignore it. Now I was doing some screen recording to make like clips earlier, and I turned the interview functionality off, which apparently is a terrible idea because I forgot to turn it back on. So anyway,
Yeah,
glad
it
you're
is
here.
a really bad idea.
Why? I'm like zoomed in. There we go. There
I feel like
we
my
go.
light is really bright.
It looks like daytime in your office there in your studio.
And it's... Oh, that didn't help. Wrong side. Let's try the other side.
Just remember, folks, as you're watching this greatness happen, this is what's taking over. Humble beginnings, okay? We've got smaller channels now, but this is what's doing away with multi-billion-dollar, once upon a time, CNN and MSNBC and all of these freaking idiots over there in mainstream media. They are being supplanted by us with our, like, glued-together studios. At least my studio is brought to you by duct tape and zip ties. I don't know about yours.
Well, I've got half of a wall panel back here. I've got a blanket over here. Yeah, we've got. You should see what it looks like behind my camera. It's a good time.
It's actually clean on the. We were getting our carpet shampooed, so I actually cleaned my office. Imperia, stop being a baby. I'm doing a show. I can't read all of the chats. So if you have something that I must read, send me an email like an adult.
Like an adult.
Also, hi. Haven't seen you in a while. Imperious News Network. Yeah, you could buy CNN and change it to INN. INN kind of sounds like a terrorist group, though, so I don't know. I've heard it both ways. Have you seen... We already talked about this. This was the monologue, but I'm just going to spring it on you. So have you seen this clip of Andrew Huberman and Lex Friedman discussing a Conor McGregor quote? I will play it for you now.
Can you read the quote once more?
Don't eat with people you wouldn't starve with. To me, like, loyalty is really big. Because then if you invest in certain people in your life and they stick by you and you stick by them, and what else is life about?
Yeah, well, hardship will show you who your real friends are. That's for sure. It's been a great ride, this podcast thing, and you're the reason I started the podcast. You inspired me to do it. You told me to do it. Did it. And you've also been an amazing friend. You showed up in some very challenging times, and you've shown up for me publicly. You've shown up for me in my home, in my life, and, it's an honor to have you as a friend. Thank you.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking about, I mean, people don't have like genuine friendships, genuine relationships anymore. And like hard-won forged through the fire type relationships, which is originally, that's what blood is thicker than water. It's those relationships where you've bled and fought and cried and sweat and struggled. Those relationships are thicker, are more meaningful than the ones that just happen cosmically through the waters of the womb. So to literally say the friends that you've chosen and cultivated strong relationships with, those bonds are stronger than familial bonds, barring your spouse, who you also choose to be family with. But anyway, that was the monologue. What are your thoughts on people don't have friends and it's destroying our society?
Well, I mean, overall, I think that that's true. I mean, admittedly, I am somebody that is terrible at friendship. Like, I joke with my husband all the time. I'm like, I don't like people. Just, there are people.
Well, you need one person. This person's different.
Yeah, there's probably like one person in my life that I would consider like a really, really good friend, but she's not somebody that I talk to a lot, but like, she's just one of those people that stereotypically, like, when we get together, we can talk for hours and it's like, no time has passed. Essentially, I've known her for a really long time. I don't know if it's just like adulthood or just busyness or just the downtime time that I do have. Like, I would rather be sitting in like silence than having to try and carry on a conversation with people. I'm surprisingly like unsocial. So I'm not great at friendship. I'm actually really terrible at it. That being said, like overall, so I feel like I'm an outlier. Like I don't have great friendships, but I think overall, yeah, people don't have friends the way that they used to. And I think obviously, I think we've tried to substitute online relationships and connecting with people through the internet. Yep. We've tried to substitute that with like real human interaction. And I think that has just been absolutely devastating for people. It's been devastating to society. It's been devastating to our respect for each other and our understanding of each other and our compassion to each other. It's been devastating to our humanity in general. So obviously, I think it's something that we need to work on to make sure that our kids don't suffer in this way. But yeah, I absolutely think those friendships and those human relationships, there's just no substitute for that. It's amazing because I have so many thoughts on this actually, but with having so much access to the entire world, we can literally talk to people all over the planet, yet people are feeling more lonely than ever. So I think that's just a testament to the fact that, we're really missing something and people need to like put down their devices and like go out and go get coffee with people, like go out to the park. Like that's just definitely where I'm at with that. So I definitely try to influence my kids to go out, hang out with your friends, go to their house, like hang out with them in person.
Get out of my house. Get out of your house. Go hang out
yeah,
at their
get out
house.
of the house. Trust me, it's for your mental health and mine. So
for the survival of this family, leave.
For both of our sakes, go make friends. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? I obviously wasn't part of the monologue, so.
Just that honestly, a part of living a well-ordered life is having a true friend, a confidant. And I mean, and I, not to rehash all of this for you guys that are watching, but someone who they're proud to be your friend. They're sticking by you when your name is great among men and you're popular and everyone wants to talk to you when you're in the room, but also when your name's been dragged through the mud for something you did or didn't do. When you're down and out, maybe when you're the bad guy in life story, or maybe when people are just out there dragging your name through the mud, that person's still there. That person doesn't care. They'll hold you accountable, but they won't chastise you. And they'll say, yeah, you're being a dick. Like, that was a dick move. You need to go make this right. Or, You know, it's interesting. And I say the person that'll help you bury a body, probably not literally. Like if you call this person and tell them that you've murdered someone, they should probably nudge you to turn yourself in, make this right.
Right.
Or, you know, not someone that's going to enable your bad behavior.
Right.
But I mean, I have two such people. And honestly, I probably have a couple of relatives. I have maybe one or two relatives that fall into that category too, but they are underneath these friends that have just lasted many, many years. And there's been some changeover. Like my best friend growing up no longer speaks to me at all. He was the best man at my wedding. It's really actually kind of heartbreaking. But I think that he thinks a lot of things that aren't true, just like my sister did for a while. My one of my older sisters is a lesbian, and we had no contact for years because she thought she had all these preconceived notions about me being a Christian and it just how I would treat her, which was total bullcrap. I'm like, I treat you the same. You're my sister. You know that I disagree with this lifestyle thing based on my worldview, but that's not the basis of our relationship. Whenever we're together, we don't talk about, I don't admonish lesbianism, or which I just say is gay.
Right.
I think the extra letters are kind of stupid. And that's when we got kicked off YouTube right there. But yeah, this guy, he doesn't talk to me anymore because he came out, moved to California, and he doesn't return my calls or text. I sent him Christmas gifts and stuff. Anyway, go on.
Aw. So it's like a political breakup?
I guess. I have no idea. And this all happened before there was a Joe Mobley show and anything like that. He just, funnily enough, he was the person who this family came to pick up for church and Bible study every Thursday and Sunday for almost a decade. He was the person they were coming to pick up. And that couple asked me once or twice a week for almost 10 years to go to church, to go to Bible study. I'm like, good grief. No. And then they showed up on a Friday night and I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. But yeah, anyway, so he is that guy. But I guess when he came out, he essentially cut off all of his Christian friends, which was his whole entire support group. So
it's really interesting how that happens. But I mean, just as a little side note, I think one of the consequences of not having friends in real life, as you were talking about, holding people accountable, and I had never really thought about it before, but when you don't have those people in your life, I mean, I think your family kind of holds you accountable in a different way than your friends do. There's just different levels of honesty, but we don't have much of that anymore, especially when all of your when your connections are all online. You essentially block people that hold you accountable, and you silence people that disagree with you, and you only keep the people in your circle that are your little group of yes men and giving you thumbs up and positive emojis. And so, yeah, I mean, like I said, I hadn't really thought about that before, but that's just another component to, our human experience that we're missing, to have those people that tell us when we're being a jerk and bring our egos back down, or bring us back to reality, or help us to reprioritize. And I think that's probably contributed to a lot of really severe mental health issues. I think it's fostered this development of borderline personality disorders and narcissism. And, we're just turning into really nasty people.
This segues brilliantly into our first topic, which is child exploitation. Let's talk about it. And when you say child exploitation, everyone automatically jumps to trafficking and different types of serious crimes. And we've actually spoken about that a lot, especially me on this show and on social media. But this is more so geared towards exploiting your children for content. Everything is content. And you had pinged. Wow, I still have work brain on because work week has been hell this week. You had texted about this the other day, and I thought it was really interesting. And I talk a lot, so I want to hear your thoughts on pimping out your kids for content.
Well, it's something that, I mean, it's something that I'm very interested in, because I think that what's interesting is that so many people from Hollywood are now coming out, having grown up as stars in that particular industry. And when we think of like child stars and child exploitation, we think it's like exclusive to being on a Hollywood set or making a movie. And there's, of course, all of these laws that can be put in place to protect children, to make sure they're only working a certain number of hours, to make sure that they're around safe people, to make sure that they have a say in, the content that they're creating or the entertainment that they're creating, and their parents are supervising, but their parents are a separate part of that process. Whereas, there's like a job and then they go home and they get to escape from that work. But now, I mean, child content, family vlogging content has exploded online. And I remember, I think probably one of the first child influencers that we were really aware of was Ryan's toy reviews. And that was several years ago. And I know that there were accounts before that, but that was kind of the big one that my kids really liked when they were little. And at that point, you just look at it and you're like, it's harmless. There's nothing to this. And the thing about his content is that he was just opening toys and they were playing with them. And it was very like, creating kind of a kid's program. Whereas now it's all about this like family vlogging, and where parents are literally carrying around cameras and filming every single thing that their kid does. And there's no laws to really protect them, to limit the number of hours that they're working, because essentially everything that they're doing is work. And there's no separation between their workplace and their home. And there's nothing that's sacred or that's protected from being online. And even though so much of the content that we're seeing, of course, is innocent, they're just engaging in regular family activity. They're going to the park, they're going on a vacation, they're doing all of these things that are so relatable to all of us, and we don't really think much of it. But now, of course, like everything else, we have to learn things the hard way. And all of these kids are coming out and talking about the psychological impact, the physical impact, the crippling like mental health impact of this. And it's just making me cringe every time I get on TikTok and I see a toddler or I see a child, and we think it's super cute, but it's like there's these massive consequences that come with putting your kids online. And I don't know about your kids, but my kids seem to think that it's like really cool that I'm a YouTuber, even though I don't, they think of like a YouTuber, like, just in the kid sense of a YouTuber, but I'm like, that's not really what I do, but okay. And they're always like, can I come be in a video? I want to be in a video. Do your kids ever ask you?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. Even if I'm in like work meetings, but if they see like the lights on, they're like, it's my time to be a star. And they like come around, poke their little heads in. It used to be, they started to get in trouble for it with the show because they kept coming in back. This is actually back before you joined. Yeah, no, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
When my wife would make like an Instagram reel, they always wanted to like be in it.
Yeah. 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 And it's funny because my husband has no social media at all. Zero social media. He has no Facebook, no Instagram. He's not on Twitter. So he's one of these people that just like, he lives like it's 1999. Like he has...
Wow. I'm kind of jealous.
I know it's weird, but he's just like, I don't need it, don't want it. So thankfully, at least, in our household, we have half of us that aren't doing it. But, you have your wife as well that makes content, and there's no judgment there. I love her content. I think it's great. But even those things where my kids are like, but I just want to be on a video because they think it would be so cool. It's like you're taking that choice away from them, where they don't understand the impact of opening yourself up to millions of people online.
Yeah.
Even as an adult, sometimes I think that that's hard to wrap my brain around, is just the fact that there are thousands of people. Can't say millions, I'm not there yet, but thousands of people. One of these days will be discovered and there will be millions. But, that there's so many people that I don't even know that are hearing my words and seeing me. And it's a little bizarre sometimes, but at least I, as an adult, I can grasp, I can make that choice and understand that whatever I'm putting online is going to be there probably forever. But as a kid, like, I don't ever want to take that away from them. Like, to grow up and then realize that something, was put online when they were a kid that they can't do anything about, even as innocent as it is. It's just,
yeah, giving up your anonymity is tough. It's something that you can't ever get back. We see that it destroys child actors. And it's like this weird spotlight effect. But the other thing, and it just came to me while you were talking because, seriously, Shelby's comment about the likes is how powerful a dopamine hit it is, even for an adult. These studies are showing that consuming content or creating content to get the likes, the dopamine hit there, that addiction rivals hard drug addictions like cocaine and whatever else is. I don't do drugs, so I'm not up on all the things. Bringing that to your child, which, like, we are very restrictive in how our children interact with the internet, which is essentially, it's essentially with mom and dad. And people will say, oh, they need to get a head start. They're not going to be able to code and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nope, that's not true at all, because I work with some of the most brilliant coders and IT people. They were there at Deloitte, they were there at Accenture, and they're there where I work now, which I don't publicize a bunch. But those people are older than these devices. So they learned how to type. I learned how to type in like 9th or 10th grade. And I type fine. I don't type 104 words a minute. I think I'm like at 80 something. I text fine. I type fine. I figured out the internet, even though I'm black and I don't know where the DMV is or how to get an ID or any of that stuff.
That's fair.
Your kids will be fine getting their first phone as a teenager or a laptop or whatever. So just miss me with that noise. These things they're not terrible, but how they're abused and how people are targeted. Men, women, children, everyone is targeted by industries and bad actors and propagandists. Hashtag United States government, intelligence agencies, Hollywood. The list can go on and on. It's just tough to expose your kids to that intentionally because you want 10 likes to go to 100 likes to go to 1,000 on Facebook.
Yep. Well, and I think, there, of course, there are the darker sides of putting kids online. I mean, if a child is in a video, the views skyrocket, the likes skyrocket, the bookmarks on that video skyrocket. I mean, I've seen, numerous people that are kind of more experts. Well, they are experts in this field. Just talk about, it can be the most innocent. It can be just an innocent photo. It can be an innocent video. Your kid doing nothing inappropriate at all, just being a regular kid. And, these weirdos online capture these photos and zoom in on different things. And it's just so disturbing. I forgot there was another aspect to that just completely left my brain. And just with this rise of, AI technology, of course, they can just get your kids' facial features and get just an image of their face and then obviously create a photo that is inappropriate. So it just kind of ties into this whole thing of how careless we've become with kids in general about protecting them and treating them more like little objects or, money makers or tools of, virtue signaling or whatever it is. It's like kids are used for so much and we're not respecting them as actual human beings anymore that need to be protected because that's our actual job. That's why you're not considered an adult until you're 18 years old. And that's why it's like legally your responsibility as a parent to protect them and take care of them and raise them. And that job is getting astronomically more difficult. But again, it just blows my mind how careless we've become.
Yeah, careless is a good word. Good word to describe that. It's annoying to me because, all of your friends, all of your family, their kids all have iPhones and iPads and laptops, and it changes the dynamic when you're trying to build community with these people. Like whenever, and now, we have an 8 and 9 year old or an 8 and 10 year old, and they really are pretty responsible, and they make sure that the younger kids are doing the right thing, and they make sure that each other are doing the right thing. So we don't have to, I guess hover is the word. We're not helicopter parents, but it's funny. I've really chewed out some people at church about parenting, and I've just told them, like, well, here's the thing. I don't give a crap what you do with your kids, but if you do this with my kid, I'm going to punch you in the face. And, it's that serious. They're our children. We only get, innocence lost is lost for good. And I always tell people, like, usually men, I don't talk to women about pornography for obvious reasons. But I always, when I've got a guy's ear and they're talking about this, and I'm like, hey, do you remember the first time you saw a pornographic image? 9 out of 10 guys, 99 out of 100 guys, yes, they can. And I ask them if they know why. And they'll make some stupid jokes, but the reason that you remember that is because it's a trauma. And here's the proof. A lot of people don't remember the details really well, the details about their first time, their real first time, and for some of us, that first time was even the marriage night. A lot of people don't remember that. You can't remember, or I'll ask them, I'll take it out of this weird topic in just a moment, but I'll ask them, do you remember the best time you ever had? Like with whomever, wherever, at a beach or a ball or whatever, just the best time. Most people don't remember that stuff, but guys will remember, and I imagine girls, they'll remember the first time they were ever exposed to pornography because it's a trauma, and your brain registers it as a trauma. You remember things about the day. You remember, who did what or who exposed you to this, because that's not supposed to be happening. That's why this is a mental scar. That's why you remember these details. And as hard as you try, you're not going to be able to push those things out. You can only develop coping mechanisms with it. And obviously I developed this expertise on the Human Trafficking Task Force, but there's so much trauma associated with those types of crimes and that type of hobby. If you're just a viewer, if you just enjoy mattress actresses, you're doing real damage to your brain, to your body. You're doing damage to your soul. And I'm just like, I'm not screwing around with this with kids.
Yeah.
It's hard for us as adults.
I was about to say that. I mean, it's difficult enough. It's devastating enough for adults who do have relatively, developed coping mechanisms and maturity and life experience. For kids, I mean, and I think as it should make anybody feel disgusted and disturbed, how much of this stuff is just ending up in schools, in front of our kids and their entertainment. I mean, just pretending that this is a normal thing. And it really is. I mean, ultimately, we know that the purpose is to destroy people from the bottom up and the inside out, to make an essentially like crippled society that isn't capable of taking care of itself and has to rely on the government. But people just have taken it far too lightly. And there's a reason that we're raised the way that we are when we, have this belief in God, and we're raised in a Christian religion, and we're raised with very strong moral values and foundation. It's not because, having sex is a bad thing. It's just, there's a reason that it can be such a powerful tool. It's literally meant for creation. You're literally meant to create a human being. It is a powerful, powerful thing. Also that can be used to destroy and absolutely take somebody to like the darkest parts of their humanity and their souls. So it's just not something to be messed with. And
there's parallelism there, and everyone talks about all of this spiritualism and mysticism and yin and yang. These parallelisms are baked into the cake of the universe by God very intentionally. There's no escaping it. There is no strings attached in life. You're a human.
Yeah.
We were made to have relationships, whether they be friendships or relationships between cities and states, or intimate relationships. You can't, there's hardware and software and programming. You can't just have the one absent the other. You can't just have hardware with no software and software with no hardware. I've sold software. Guess what? If it doesn't get installed on a machine, it doesn't do anything. It just sits there. Do you remember back when you could have individual software and you could actually buy it? You didn't have to license, subscribe to it. I kind of want to go back to that. I don't like these subscriptions. I like
Things
to
were
own it.
so much easier.
Yeah, because they changed the subscription, and maybe tech companies or music companies were the first communists, not the government, because they want us to not own anything. I'm like, I want to own the music. I don't want to subscribe to the music so I can stream it when I want. I want to own it.
I know.
I started buying CDs again.
You did?
Yep. My Linkin Park CD should get here on, Saturday?
That's
They're
hilarious.
new.
Sorry, that was just a very interesting segue into that topic. I couldn't help but think of all those little subscription pamphlets we used to get in the mail and be like, you can
AOL.
buy 20 CDs for a penny.
Oh, I was thinking the little AOL guy with the sending out internet on a disc through the mail. Those things though, those
are the devil.
Those were stupid. Yeah, those were very annoying. Man, I guess we're old. My kids probably, if they heard this, they'd be like, what are you talking about?
I know.
All right. Well, before we get into the next topic, guys, take this opportunity, if you haven't, to go over to the Outspoken Samantha YouTube channel or Rumble or other things, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
wherever.
Wherever. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure this is streaming over there too, so make sure you give her a like and a comment and some engagement. Like, share, subscribe, do all those things. The call-in show is changing, so we're going to be doing it through Discord. We're not doing call-in tonight, but we are doing member only. I say we. I'm doing member only after the show. Of course, the listeners saying, but the time change and all. Not the time change. It's perpetual. The time difference. I put my kids down and then start streaming. Samantha's kids go down partway through the show. So she'll cut out for that. Vinyl is where it's at, Joe. My wife and I used to have about 200 vinyls, and we actually sold them all when we were in Maryland. We sold them to a shop for a pretty penny, all except for maybe 6. But yeah, I don't really miss my vinyl collection. It's very heavy. And Joe tells Samantha to you, and she I don't know what that means. So like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff, and get over to Locals and make yourself an account if you want to watch the member-only show. It's free to join, but if you want to become a paid supporter, it's thejoemobley.com/join. You pay the $5, you get the mug, you get the shirt, and a whole lot more. All right, so not a joke here, but how worried should we be that Donald Trump doesn't survive to see the White House?
Reasonably worried. I mean, I know that we talked a few times about whether or not he'd even make it to the election. And the fact that he actually got over the finish line, well, he made it to the first round. He got over that one. I cannot imagine a universe where they will actually let him into the White House. But how does that work? I mean, maybe it's just my lack of understanding. If something were to happen to him, I mean, ultimately, Republicans still won. Like, would they have to have another, like, a special election? I mean, would JD Vance step up? I mean, I'm not trying to be stupid. I really, like, I don't know how that would work. I've never had to really think about it.
Yeah, some people have said the 20th Amendment addresses this. I've read the entire Constitution a handful of times. I do not remember anything in the 20th Amendment about this. I'm looking at it right now. About the terms of president and vice president shall end at noon. And this is this is how we get essentially the timeline of January 6th and January 20th. Articles. Such meetings shall begin at noon on the third day in January, unless interesting. I did not know that. I read it, but I didn't know it as a stand. I have no idea. I've heard people say that the vice president-elect. So everyone, it's the president-elect. This is this is a thing because of Biden, stupid. Back in 2020, when he won the election, he had that stupid crap behind him that said "Office of the President-elect of the United States," and now everyone makes a big deal out of it. It's like not really a thing. Okay. He goes to some briefings but no, you're president and. Anyway, and so Trump will become the president again on January 20th. If he doesn't survive, some people have said that Vance becomes president. If he gets assassinated before the inauguration, and Vance will just pick a vice president. But then some people they've started to go into that secession thing, and I'm like, that secession thing doesn't work like that, because the president of the United States is alive. The president of the United States is alive. If something happens to Trump, they're not like, oh, well, the person that got the second most votes, Kamala Harris. It's like, no. You lost handedly. It was, I wasn't saying it was a landslide. It was a landslide. It was 316 to like 2 something. Uh-oh. What just happened? I glitched out here. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully you can still hear me. And it looks like we're still live. I don't know. The agencies did not like something that I just said. My computer just spazzed out. Oh, this whole screen is gone. What is happening? Well, that's problematic because all the videos are over there. I guess I could try and do a gather windows. I don't know. What does chat think? What do you guys think? If anything happens to Trump, I'll assume the presidency. Says Imperious. Wow.
Thank you.
Well, that sounds a little bit scary. It seems likely though that he'll be sworn in January. Arma 15 says, YouTube is coming for me. Yeah, probably. He is the elect, not president, so if having before August, still can be president. What? No, this does. Seriously, Shelby, you just have to retype that one. That one's confusing for me. He has Secret Service, but Reagan still got blasted. I don't know why I'm laughing at that. Yeah. So Adamant says slightly worried. I don't know. I can go both ways on this because everything seems to be calming down. The media personalities aren't calling him Mustache Man anymore. And things seem to be like settling in. The international audience seems to be okay with this. Now, a lot of that is just bullcrap because Iran's like, oh, this is totally fine. We're preparing for these talks without a doubt, Iran has plots, and they've doubled down on their plots to assassinate Trump. They obviously have Foreign Intelligence Service. They do not want Trump to be president. I'm talking China, Russia, Iran. Yeah. Everyone's saying, "Oh yeah, we're positioning ourselves to get ready for this transition." they don't want it to happen. So I'm not just talking about freaking puberty-stricken morons on rooftops trying to blow his head off. Like, he needs to really be, like, he needs someone tasting his food, sipping his drinks before he gets them. He needs people, like, turning on the shower. He needs someone to stick their arm in the shower before, like, he needs to do it all. Because these intelligence agencies, not ours, adversarial ones, they don't do the I'm gonna hide on a rooftop and try and shoot you. Like, anyone who's seen Munich and saw all the ways that Mossad went out there, often people after the Olympic massacre. Yeah, so I'm very worried. I'll just be honest.
Yeah.
I'm very worried for this man. And honestly, the finish line is not January 20th because he's got to get his cabinet confirmed and so much. It's going to be pins and needles. Like, I feel super nervous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely I don't know. It's hard because, like I said, we spent a lot of November. Did I freeze?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. It froze on my end, so whatever. It might just be my internet connection. Yeah, I mean, we spent a lot of time thinking it wasn't going to make it to November. I'm surprised that happened. As I said, I cannot imagine a universe where they're going to allow this man back into the White House. I imagine there is a lot going on behind the scenes. He is going to need God's protection over the next couple of months. I imagine part of it is going to be, you know, as they allowed him to win, getting his base worked up. You know, we're all excited. Everybody is feeling this sense of relief. Everybody, you know, is just ready for this change and you know, thinking that we've won, to get our emotions as high as possible. So I think that whatever happens is going to have the greatest impact. You know, the fall is going to be that much more, that much bigger. So I think whatever happens it's much bigger. There's a greater possibility that the reaction from the right is going to be bigger than it would have had it happened a few months ago.
Yeah.
Because now we've won. Now we have our guy in there. Now we've been allowed to think that things are going to be okay. And if something happens, you know, it's just that much bigger of a hit. So I am nervous. I just don't know what to expect.
Same. All right. Well, in other news, I remember 8-Tracks. Reality Pocket on Rumble says, I remember 8-Tracks. I remember 8-Tracks as well. They were, I'm the tail end of the 80s, so they were a bit before my time, but I do remember cassettes, that A side and then the B side with the instrumental only, so you could karaoke it up. See, youngsters don't know about that. Never had, probably never will, besides Rumble and YouBoob. Oh, YouBoob, I've never heard that. I call it ScrewTube. This wonderful red platform here. Live live like Howard Hughes, except for peeing in jars. I'm glad that you're not peeing in jars, good sir. In other news, Trump's freaking, his cabinet is just like gearing up to be some straight gangsters. So let me just read some of these names for you guys. Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, from what I hear, she's a bad A. Attorney General, Matt Gaetz, crazy. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. I wasn't super excited about that, but I think he can get the job done. Super crazy. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. These people that are like these institutions go after them. The Justice Department, the AG goes after Matt Gaetz. Now Matt Gaetz going to be the AG. The intel agencies, they put Tulsi Gabbard on the naughty list, on the no-fly list, and all this other bullcrap, even though she was, an Army intelligence officer or PSYOPs or whatever. People are saying, she needs to have, that one idiot on CNN was like, she needs to have a full FBI probe into her life. Her clearance is higher than yours, I can guarantee. Okay, period, bar none. She's fine. The government's already been through her entire life forwards and backwards and knows more about her than she can recall about herself. But Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Millen, Ambassador to UN Elise Stefanik, who I'm touch and go with Elise. But anyway, Borders are Tom Homan. Very exciting. We got some clips about him. EPA head Lee Zeldin, I could care less. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, think that's a great choice. U.S. Israel Ambassador Governor Mike Huckabee. I don't really care about ambassadors, but I'm glad for Mike Huckabee because he's a really good guy. This one, I was sad that it wasn't RFK, but this is just good. Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, John Ratcliffe. Back when I was in grad school, telling everyone who would listen, writing white papers and talking with high-level intelligence officials. I studied Homeland Security, and we did this weird incestuous DC thing with the agencies saying, hey, I'm pretty sure that the FBI is subverting the constitutional process with this Steele dossier bullcrap. And I had made the case that this was before the Epic Times came out with their big map of it. I had essentially done the same thing as a grad student. John Ratcliffe is the one who blew the whistle. He didn't blow the whistle. He's the one who uncovered all of that stuff and put it out to the public. He's exactly the right type of person. Let's see, a couple more. Kristi Noem. You guys know that I have a big crush on Kristi Noem. She's my adult crush. Not really, but for Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. I think that's the first one that I want to talk about. So, did you have thoughts when he announced Pete? Appropriate thoughts. I know there are a lot of women out there. You guys are posting all these little thirst traps of this guy shirtless and running all over New York and stuff. Yeah, I see you over there blushing.
Yeah, well, he's definitely getting a lot of attention. I thought it was really funny how I think I've been paying attention more to like the left reaction to some of these people, particularly to people like Pete Hegseth. And they're like, he doesn't know anything about the military. This guy is just a Fox News anchor. And it's so disrespectful. It's so disgusting to hear them talk, especially as they have spent so much time talking about how Donald Trump disrespected the military and didn't have respect for people in uniform. And, you know, obviously that was never true. But to have somebody that has actually served the country and, you know, he's a decorated military, I don't know what his titles are, but, you know, he has served. He has far more.
He was an infantryman. He was an infantry officer. I think he also did PSYOPs.
Yeah.
He's a certified bad A.
Yeah, somebody that deserves to be respected for his role far more than Tim Walz ever did. But they didn't ever question him. But yeah, I mean, I really didn't know that much about him until he was appointed to this position. And I think it was a good choice. I think he's definitely said some things that have probably made women mad about women not being in combat roles, but that's something that I actually agree with. But I think he seems like a solid choice for that position. So definitely a step up from these men in makeup and dresses that took over the Biden-Harris administration. So
yeah, exactly. Guys, he has some of the same pedigree, the Ivy League and combat arms and stuff, but for everyone saying he's not qualified because he wasn't a general and he didn't do all this stuff that all of the other idiots who have occupied the office, those people, I lost all hope in the institutions training up the right leaders when Mad Dog Mattis went all anti-supporting the president. If you are a military leader, if you are in the executive branch as a leader, you have to support the president, period. If you are not supporting the president, that's called sedition. That's what it is. And if you're Milley and you're calling foreign adversaries to preemptively say, I am going to instruct the armed forces to disobey the lawful orders of the president of the United States, if that's not treason, then treason doesn't exist. Just full stop. So when it happened to Mad Dog Mattis, that's when I lost all faith in our military institutions being able to train up leaders, as in the general officers, which they're not military officers anymore. They're politicians. So I would say the fact that he topped out at major, he didn't even make colonel, makes him uniquely qualified, because if we keep putting in 4 stars, that's just more of the same. So I got some clips of him from the Sean Ryan show. And this video is 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, but it's a couple of clips stitched together. So we could just pause it and talk whenever. But here we go.
The Pentagon is in the book, the exact amount of years, but in the past X number of years, 10, 12, 15, the Pentagon has a perfect record in all of its war games against China. We lose every time inside the Pentagon war games. We know what our real capability. You see, we didn't even get to this part of the war on warriors. I mean, the military.
This is him on the Sean Ryan show.
We're always, the way our system works, the way our bureaucratic system works, where the speed of weapons procurement works, we're always a decade behind in fighting the last war. Whereas China, we have, what did Rumsfeld say? You go to the war, the army you have. We have the army. China's building an army specifically dedicated to defeating the United States of America. That is their strategic outset. Take hypersonic missiles. So if our whole power projection platform is aircraft carriers and the ability to project power that way strategically around the globe, and yeah, we have a nuclear triad and all of that, but a big part of it. And if 15 hypersonic missiles can take out our 10 aircraft carriers in the first 20 minutes of a conflict, what does that look like? Well, first of all,
yeah, so that's interesting. I'm sure since he's so unqualified, I'm sure everyone is just tracking about the nuclear triad and hypersonic missiles and hyperglide vessels, and that the U.S. Naval posturing is air dominance, even though it's the Navy, but it's the largest air force, the second largest air force in the world. I'm sure that all of those idiots on these news channels and Joy Reid, they're tracking with everything that he just said, and about who Don Rumsfeld is and his military theories about going to war with the army that you have, and how China is preparing to fight a future state United States military force. They're preparing. He's totally unqualified, so I'm sure everyone was just tracking with 100% of what he just said.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't help but think when he was talking about how China is gearing up to specifically fight against the United States, it just makes the total belittlement of our military, especially over the last few years, that much more disgusting. As we've seen them focus on drag shows in the military and focusing on DEI and CRT and talking about sexuality and inclusivity. I mean, I think what a lot of the Biden-Harris administration is probably not going to enjoy right now, and this is obviously going to increase the workload of the media, is the contrast between the two administrations is going to be so undeniable. What it looks like when you have somebody like Kamala Harris as the border czar versus Tom Homan, when you have people like Rachel Levine trying to demonstrate this like show of force at the head of, some of these agencies in the Biden-Harris administration. And then you bring in someone like Pete Hegseth, and they're going to look so ridiculous. But not only that, how it demonstrate and expose just how intentional it has been to to turn the United States of America into this total clown show, to completely belittle and minimize the power and the impact of our military, to reduce it to this like ridiculous little child's game almost.
It's embarrassing.
It's just that much more disgusting, huh?
It's so embarrassing what they've done. Like we are a laughingstock. Our generals, our male generals are wearing dresses. Our female soldiers think that the crap that they've seen in Hollywood is real. So they think that they're about to step into, the ring with like someone like me, and a girl power is going to win the day. No, I'm going to break you in half. That's what's going to happen in real life. This isn't a movie.
Right. Right. Exactly. So it's embarrassing, and it's disturbing, and it's disgusting, especially, like I said, what they have done to the military. And I hope people will recognize just how much of the effort has been intentional to turn our military into an absolute joke.
Yeah. I did not know that Mike Waltz was on the Sean Ryan show. I'm going to have to check that out, Shelby.
To fire, you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever that was involved in any of the DEI woke, it's got to go. Either you're in for.
Yep, uniquely qualified. Fire the woke generals. Honestly, I hate to be this way, but I've said it before. It's too hard to delineate. Sometimes it's too much of an effort to tease out all of the true meanings. I would fire them all.
Yep.
I would probably vet out and choose up to 5% to stay. The rest of them, I would fire them. Just you're done.
Start from scratch.
Yeah, honestly. And I would the 06s of the world would hate me, because I would say, hey, actually 04 through 6 are now competitive for flag officer to become a general or an admiral. Because the colonels, whoa, what just happened there? I don't know. The colonels they're swamp monsters too, because they're like, I'm gunning for that star. So I'd almost reach all the way down through 4, 3, 2, 1 star down to colonel and say, hey, 04s and 05s are now competitive to jump up to 7 and be general officers. So that's just me.
Conflict. What does that look like? Well, first of all, you got to fire in for war fighting, and that's it. And that's the only litmus test we care about. You got to get DEI and CRT out of military academies, so you're not training young officers to be baptized in this type of thinking. And then, whatever the standards, did Top Gun Maverick and combat roles. It has some real ads that motivate people to want to serve. I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made it.
Every time I play this clip, a liberal's head explodes. We'll go back and hear it one more time.
Serve. I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated. We've all served with women, and they're great. It just, our institutions don't have to incentivize that in places where not traditionally, over human history, men in those positions are more capable.
Yep, uniquely qualified. Promote ahead of peers. Do not pass go. Straight to the Pentagon. Skip the chiefs of staff. After learning more about him, I'm like, Trump's picks. Trump is like on fire at the craps table right now. His picks are very good, and he's choosing people who have been burned. So he's been burned as a military officer, as a leader in combat zones, not allowing women to do combat missions, and his military career suffered for it. Freaking great. Good. You did the right thing, and you got punished for it, and now you're going to be the Secretary of Defense.
You know what I think is interesting about a lot of these picks, again, just popped into my brain. A lot of these people that he is selecting have like a reason, like almost a personal reason to want to make the most of whatever role they're given, and to correct course. I mean, when you have somebody like, for like Pete Hegseth, for example, I mean, he probably takes the minimization of our military and the mockery that's been made of our military, probably takes that very personally. And he's like, I am not going to stand for this crap anymore. I am going to help turn this back into the thing that it's supposed to be. When you've got somebody like Matt Gaetz, I don't know if he's going to be the attorney general or not, but he is somebody that he's made a lot of enemies in Congress. I think that he has a lot of reason to get in there and to get things, to get things back on track. I mean, you've got these people, Tulsi Gabbard as the director of national intelligence, after you said, she's been put on the no-fly list or whatever. She's like, how do you like me now?
Yeah.
So all these people, it's more personal to them. He's developed this dream team. And just like Trump himself, who's been relentlessly attacked by Washington, D.C. and nonstop, he's going in there with a completely different motivation than he did the first time. I mean, loves America, wants to see America succeed, wants to accomplish these things, wants to serve in the presidency in the way that it's meant to be served in. But a lot of it is much more personal to a lot of these people in their different roles. And I think that that's adding a whole new layer of efficacy to what they can do and will do.
I am lazy, so I'm going to solicit this because you just gave me a great idea. I'll give someone $50. I know you guys watching and listening now, you guys and gals, if someone can pull together clips of the people being persecuted or prosecuted by the branch of government that they're now going to lead, and if you could put those clips and string that together in a video to the song How Do You Like Me Now, that would be so good. So yeah, $50. Just email me. It's ask@thejoemobley.com. That's also where you can email about inquiries, show ideas, and your hate mail and stuff can go there. Actually, hate mail you could send to Outspoken _ no, just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, as my channel is growing, I have started getting more emails.
Yes.
And they're not kind. Which is fine.
Well, sorry.
No, they're not nice emails. I had somebody call me a coward the other day. I was like, delete.
Which version? The country song. Who sings that? How Do You Like Me Now? It's a country song, right?
I don't know. The one that I keep thinking of is it's from a kids movie with about the seagull and the bird and the babies. I can't remember what it's called.
I want the Toby Keith How Do You Like Me Now with
that one. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. With Tulsi Gabbard not able to board a flight, and then DNI or
exactly.
Pete Hegseth getting an Article 15 for standing down women on the battlefield to, Secretary of Defense. You mentioned the personal stuff. Tom Homan is he is all in, and yes, he's not going to be the director of Homeland Security. He's not going to be the director of ICE or the Secretary of Homeland Security. But I think that he's going to have the right mandate and the right support from the White House and from the agents doing the work, because given his background, because of his unique kind of testimony, these are some of his greatest hits that everyone knows and loves.
But Mr. Homan, you work for me. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer. You work for me.
Zero tolerance was interpreted as the policy that separated children from their...
If I get arrested for DUI and I have a young child in the car, I'm going to be separated. When I was a police officer in New York and I arrested a father for domestic violence, I separated that father
Mr.
from his
Homan,
family.
with all due respect, legal asylees are not charged with any crime.
When you're into the country illegally, it's violation 8 United States Code 1325.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum and go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. Probably not the right thing to say, but I was angry. Let me tell you why you're angry, because you or no one else in this room has seen what I've seen in my 34 years. You didn't stand in the back of a tractor trailer shot my 19 dead aliens that suffocated to death because the smuggler didn't care, including a 5-year-old boy. What do you think his last 30 minutes were like? I was there. I seen it, I smelled it, I saw it, and I had a 5-year-old boy at the time, and it changed me for the rest of my life. I've seen people who couldn't pay their smuggling fees got stabbed in the face 22 times. 31% of women are being raped crossing this border. Children are dying. Cartels are getting rich. Why am I angry? Because you haven't done anything to fix it. Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say he's uniquely qualified to pull off mass deportations and fortify the border.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, having seen the things that he has seen, I mean, that trailer full of suffocated illegal immigrants, the women and the children that he has talked to and their experiences, I mean, all of that is going to be in the back of his mind as he fixes this problem, as he, starts to work out the policies and the things that need to happen to get this back to a manageable level. As when he thinks about deporting people, he's going to be picturing the horrors that he has witnessed, and that is going to drive him. I mean, he's looking at these people that think that they need to explain compassion to him, and they're like, it's your policies that have caused the things that I have seen. And you're sitting here trying to tell me that I need to be caring about the people that have come here illegally, knowing what that means for so many people. Yeah, he is going to get in there and heads are going to spin.
Yep. And I'm here for it. I love it. I like it a lot. I really do. Did you see the Charlie Kirk clip about that stuff coming out about, again, preemptively disobeying, the directives of the president?
I think I missed that one.
Here, we'll watch just the very beginning.
There's an outrageous story that is bubbling up here. And if it is real, and I believe it is real because we have evidence from the last administration that is correct. This is why the transition is so important. This is why we've moved our entire operation down to Florida to try to help any way we can. The government is already voicing to the media that they will undermine Donald Trump if he were to make decisions that they do not like. According to CNN and MSNBC, CNN has a story that has not been independently verified by NBC News, which add that, quote, defense officials have held, quote, informal discussions about how the DOD would respond if Donald Trump issues orders to deploy active duty troops domestically and fire large swaths of apolitical staffers.
Yeah, so again, they're already saying, so number one, if he goes to fire staffers, they're going to disobey it. I don't even understand how that's possible. Like, hey, you're fired. You're no longer an employee here. They're just going to pay their salaries and commit fraud and 10 other crimes. The other one, on the domestic front, there are instances where the president is empowered to use troops domestically. Like, I don't know, if foreign invaders, terror organizations, gangs have infiltrated your country, and now that's not that problem is not a problem that police need to deal with. I think if I wake up and I'm president, I'm going into the Situation Room with the Attorney General, and, heck, we could call over a judge, get a judge in here too, and say, hey, how do I legally send a Ranger bat to just go kill these gangsters or beat them into submission? Because they're not Americans. They're a foreign gang. They're a foreign fighting force who came into the state, and then they robbed FFLs, so now they have automatic weapons. I'm not going to ask Colorado PD to go deal with this. I'm going to send Rangers. How can I do that? And they're saying the informal meetings. In the Pentagon, these officers are getting together and these advisors are getting together and say, hey, how are we going to F over the president? Which, it's insane that this is happening.
Yeah, not surprising though. And that, of course, is the other scenario that, if Trump actually does get into the White House, the inauguration happens, he's in there, then of course we have to deal with the fact that all of these people are determined not to work with him and determined to hinder anything that he tries to do. just like last time, and probably even more so. And then, of course, anything that he promised that he isn't able to carry out will be blamed entirely on him. And not because he has all of these people that are trying to make as big a mess as possible, make things as difficult as possible, make sure that he accomplishes as little as possible, and of course, at our expense.
Juan Pablo says, how the F do you disobey a firing? Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting. Like, you're fired. You're like, I still work here. I'm going to be here at 6 a.m. on Monday. It's like, okay. We're not paying you. Anyone who's ever worked in the Pentagon, it's absolute hell to work there. The traffic is bad. The parking is bad. You gotta, most people have to metro in and take the stupid little tunnel. It sounds prestigious. It's cool for about 5 days. And then it's just another building that has a lot of crappy things about working there. I don't know, Juan.
Well, and that would be, I mean, if you're fired and you keep coming back, that's called trespassing. So
if you're fired from a secure building like the Pentagon and you come back, you should be arrested on site. Like, bro, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Okay, guys, let me know how that goes for you.
Yeah. Oh, you're trying to come in here? But
yeah.
But do you even go here? Like it. I have no idea. What? Charlie goes on to say, they're saying the quiet part out loud. They're saying they don't believe in civilian oversight of the military, which is wild because you know who doesn't believe in civilian oversight of the military? Mustache man, fascist, socialist, but authoritarians, totalitarian, don't believe in civilian oversight. The brilliance of civilian oversight is generals don't run the country. A civilian runs the country. A civilian gives the orders to the military. A civilian gives the orders to the police force, unless it's a sheriff's department. But the federal law enforcement apparatus is headed by across-the-board civilians. Christopher Wray is not an 1811, Fed. He doesn't have statutory power of arrest. He's a senior executive. These are the pillars that hold up our democracy. But somehow, all of these libs, they're staunchly opposed to it. They're saying, no.
Yeah.
The generals need to be in charge of everything. I'm like, are you serious?
Right. Yeah. They don't answer to a higher power. They are the highest power. It's like, you don't see how that could be a bad thing, that could go wrong really fast.
Yeah, exactly. And as much as I make fun of them, General Milley, Green Beret, freaking all of that ridiculous chess candy. He's been some places and done some things. And historically, when we put people like that in charge of a nation, they go from wherever they are to warlord in about 5 days. So just not a good idea, folks. Not a good idea at all. What's also not a good idea is for me to run right up to 10 o'clock because I probably have to go tinkle before the member show. So we should land this plane. Yeah, I'm really happy with the picks. Do you have anything else on, I don't know, all things cabinet? Have you disagreed with anyone, or are you still not sold?
No, nobody that I am like really strongly opposed to. I had a question about Stephen Miller's. Somebody said that Stephen Miller was the author of Project 2025.
Was he?
I don't know. I'm like, really? So I hadn't had a chance to look that up. I just didn't know if you had heard anything about it. Of course, that means
wow. Who is
nothing.
Stephen Miller and what is his role in Project 2025? I've been very upfront, just like I was at January 6th. I was one of the first people in Project 2025. I think it's a great idea. The whole thing about Project 2025 is there are two parts of it. And when you go in, I mean, I could show you, and I'm not going to do that because my password might be in there. When I go in to sign into Project 2025, ooh, scary. There are two different ways to sign in. There are two different roads you can go. One is the policy one, where they're teaching you about policy. There's like this academy you can go through, and it teaches you essentially how to be a government executive, so that And the only reason it's necessary is because they blocked Trump and his picks at every juncture. They blocked them with this procedural crap, especially like with the government contracting. And I would do well there because I was a contracts officer as a govy when I was in the military. So I'm like, hey, I see those tricks, and you know, my Jediism is better than yours. So there's that avenue, but the other avenue is a pool of talent who's non-woke, but they can prove it. They can prove it with their social media profiles, which you have to put in there to get into Project 2025. You got to put your socials there, and you can't be some nameless, faceless troll. You essentially got to be like us. And then you put your job experience, and it's asking you questions about not your allegiance to Trump. It's asking you questions about your political philosophy, your theological beliefs, your hopes, your dreams. It's like a weird personality test meets statesmanship. So it's kind of a lot. You've got to have references. You've got to have a whole bunch of stuff. And the reason that they do that is because they figured out what everyone knows. The right doesn't wield power because the right doesn't have people to execute the right's vision. The left is very good at this. They have all their little cronies, and their cronies are mindless automatons. So they do what they're told, period. The right, we're all free thinkers. We have morals. We have scruples. And we do a lot of infighting, which is stupid. So Project 2025 is supposed to be an opportunity to have a big bank, a big database of true, you know, bleeding heart conservatives, like really hardcore patriots who are willing to work 2 or 4 years in an administration, which sucks. So you can be vetted, and so they can figure out where your talents and knowledge, skills, and abilities meet with the executive's needs. And honestly, I hope Trump was lying. I hope Trump 1000% knew about Project 2025, and I hope he still uses it. And like, tag me in, coach. If you want to, I'm not the type of leader where I could actually run a department of government. But I'll be a task force lead in a heartbeat on the human trafficking task force, or, you know, CTTF or, CTTI, CTTC. Yeah. In a heartbeat. If the mandate was go and make life miserable for human trafficking organizations, sign me up, coach. Yeah. Don't threaten me with a good time. He's the only president that's ever done anything about human trafficking ever. So.
Yeah. No, I love it. No, I have no issues with Project 2025. Go. Sorry. She's trying to be in a YouTube video. No, I mean, and obviously all of the issues that people have created around Project 2025 are just because based on a narrative. The people haven't read it. They don't know anything about it. But, you know, obviously, I mean, not that we need to get into a huge discussion about that, but obviously, like, it is a conservative agenda. So there are going to be things that Trump does that are going to look like he pulled them straight out of Project 2025. And of course, when that happens, they're going to be like, see, he planned this the whole time. So yeah,
I hope he does.
Yeah.
I honestly do.
Yeah. So,
and it'll be glorious.
Yeah, no problem with that whatsoever. But as far as the overall picks, I mean, I don't have any issues with them. It seems like a dream team to me. And it seems like, you know, he's doing it in record time, really quickly getting these appointments made. So that's exciting.
I'm here for every moment of it. Okay, how do I do this again? Switch to RTMP. Okay, well, stream settings. All right, guys, the member-only show is going to start in just a moment. Yeah, that's all we got. Please like the show and subscribe and do all that stuff, and we'll be here next week. Hopefully talking about another week of just winning. Like, all we do is win at this point, and once he gets sworn in, if he gets sworn in, that's when the real work begins. Yeah, bye.
All right.